Hey, AfterBuzzers, we're talking episode 5 of Life Sentence West Side Story. Stella meets Pippa, Mom spills the beans, and the creators of the show are here with us, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'm on my way. I am so excited.
I love the lights.
I feel like we should be having margaritas.
I know. This is going from an after show to a party. We're so excited to be here. Hey guys, what's up? I'm your host, Karla Beltran. I am so excited to talk about tonight's episode. I'm joined by my lovely ladies.
Hi guys, my name is Suzanne Quast and I'm super excited. Erin is not only one of my friends, but she also was one of my acting coaches.
Oh,
so I'm so excited.
Yes,
Yes, and I'm also super psyched to finally meet Rich.
Oh my God, you've never met Rich before?
No.
That's weird.
I know.
I lurk around in the periphery of your social media.
That's true. My social media or my social group?
Both.
Yeah.
I just like to lurk.
Hashtag creep.
He likes to lurk. He's lurky.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm Monique Loveless.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's okay. I'm just reintroducing myself for the 5th week, right?
Yes.
I'm Monique Loveless, and I'm super excited to have our guest today. We're already having so much fun.
That's right.
I know, seriously. I'm so excited. We have so much to cover tonight. Like I said, Stella meets Pippa tonight, and Mom spills the beans about Aiden. And the creators of Life Sentence are right here with us. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We have a couple of questions for you guys. So we should have you guys, first of all, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get started.
Hello. I don't know where to look. Is there somewhere to
camera's
look?
like right up there.
Oh, it's like up there.
I think
hi.
we should maybe address the matching outfits.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
you know, it's like we could go one or the other. It's like Abercrombie-ish, or it could be like where farmers meet. You know, I
When
can't.
we leave, we're actually popping over to the next studio to make an Amazing Race audition.
Okay.
So we just thought we color coordinated that.
I really thought mine was
Yeah.
like cooler, you know, but it's definitely.
I'm sorry, are you saying that mine isn't cool and now you
Yours
can
is
see
like-
that as a reference point?
Yes, as a reference point. No, well, I'm Erin Cardillo, and
I'm Richard Keith.
we are the creators of Life Sentence, and we like to match clothes, apparently. Actually, this happens to us all the time. We show up to things and we're, you know, randomly wearing matching clothes.
We used to carpool, and a couple times I came down from our old apartment and got in the car, and Erin just looked at me like, no, go change.
I was like, you have to go change.
Go change.
It's too weird to go to meetings and like be wearing the same shirt.
Or
Right.
you guys, I don't know. It's like a memorable impression.
Or it's
That's
a thing.
true.
You know.
Or great
Yes.
great minds think alike.
That's right.
I
like that one.
I think it's a great minds think alike. And I also think that you guys have been working for some time now. How long have you guys been co-writers for?
I think we wrote our first script in 2012.
Yeah, I think so.
But
Yeah.
you guys met at Warner's, right? Is that how did then the
Yes.
first collaboration actually happen?
So we met at Warner Laughlin Studios, where I used to teach and where I met Suzanne. But we met there when I was a student back in 2002,
Yeah.
and you were also a student. We were both actors before we were writers, and sort of writing on the side for years, and then the writing kind of took off, and we just went down that path, you know. But it's yeah.
Yeah, we were writing features separately, and we had sent each other scripts to read, just sort of to maybe impress each other, to give notes. I think actually she sent me hers, I read it, and then I sent her mine because I was like, I hope she thinks it's good too. So we started giving each other notes, and then I had an idea for a TV pilot, and just I came from a sketch background, and I really always liked writing jokier stuff with a partner. I just found it more fun and less sort of like, oh God, how do I put 4 jokes on one page? So I had an idea and I brought it to Erin.
Yeah.
We wrote that together, and then still kind of were writing on our own separately, and the stuff that we were doing together just sort of ended up getting more attention and sort of leapfrogging ahead. So
Yeah.
we started on a lark, and then it just sort of took off.
And then how does that work? Does somebody actually, do you guys sit in a room together and write? Does somebody write and then send it to edit? How do you guys work?
Yeah, well, we definitely spend the hardest part about writing is breaking the story, like figuring out what the story is going to be and outlining everything. So we do all that together in the same room.
So we can cry next to each other.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's so hard.
Really sad. But the good thing about it, though, is when you're writing with a partner and you know that you're going to have to follow the outline to write a script, you actually take the time to outline. Because when I was writing on my own, I'd be like, yeah, this scene's about this thing. And then, you know, I'd write myself like a sketchy outline, and then I'd get to writing the scenes and be like, I don't know how to write this scene, and so it takes 5 times longer because you didn't really outline it. So when you write together, you outline really specifically, and then Rich usually takes the first pass on stuff and then sends it to me, and I just like change everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
That's untrue. She leaves my name on the title page.
I leave his name on the title page. I leave him a
Right.
joke or two.
Yeah.
No. But I do another pass.
A lot of prepositions.
On top of that, and usually I'm just like, Rich, why did you change this from the outline, which often happens.
Yeah.
Although it's just, he's
It
like, I had a
depends.
lark, and sometimes it's great. And and sometimes, no, I'm just kidding. And then we do the last pass together, generally.
Got it.
Although
Yeah.
under the rigors of TV production, sometimes we didn't get to on this show.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
On our last show. But yeah, in an ideal environment, we outline together, we swap the draft back and forth, and then do sort of the last pass together and sort of act it out loud. Until we had an office, we did it in Erin's dining room, much to the dismay of her neighbors. Who our last show, Significant Mother, was sort of like a raunchy sex comedy.
I saw it, yeah.
So her neighbors thought she was a freak.
I know, it was so funny. We'd be screaming at each other about, like, you know, like acting out the scenes and being like, why did you put that dildo there? And like, I was like, my windows are open and there's neighbors. And I don't understand what's happening.
That's
Oh
so.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So how did you guys create this actual show?
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
So Erin and I, like I said, were writing features separately, and the feature I sent her was basically one of these now genre films that's like a romantic cancer dramedy. And so it's like boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl to cancer, but finds out something wonderful about himself in the process. So I'd written that like 6 or 8 years ago, and after Significant Mother came and went, Erin and I looked at maybe trying to direct it. And when we reread it, we realized that since I'd written it, it sort of became derivative of other movies that were written after but actually got made.
Like Fault in Our Stars
yeah.
and, you know, I mean, there's countless.
Me, Earl the Dying Girl, 50-50. And so we...
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
Yeah, so we just, you know, we were talking about the premise
But we
still
liked it.
liked.
We liked the idea of it, but we were also realizing that the female character is this manic pixie dream girl, you know, that exists really only in a boy's mind. You know,
Right.
that perfect
Yeah.
girl who comes into your life and you fall in love, but then she dies. So you don't have to commit. You know, and so that's what boys dream about. No, I'm just kidding. But
I can
not
say
really.
I'll commit, but then I don't have to.
Yeah, but then you don't have to. So it's really easy for them, for, you know, young men. So anyway, we were talking about that, and
I think Erin made that exact comment,
I
and we
made that
started
comment.
laughing.
We
and
started
were like,
laughing like,
yeah, what if they, you know, at the end of my movie, they got married and then she passed away? And we were like, what if you just came back? And she was like, oh, yeah, that's gone now.
Yeah, I'm just
So
like,
forever
I'm
just got a
not
whole lot
gonna
longer.
die. Now
Yeah.
we're just married. Let's go to Target.
I'm
You
going
know
to see
what
you
I
get
mean?
old
Like,
as hell.
it
Yeah, it's
gets
going to be weird.
it's different when you are when it's actually forever than when it's this romantic idea of forever. And I think Rich and I had just around that time that we were talking about it, we were both newly married to other people and talking about marriage and how, you
Terrifying it. No, it's great.
know. No. But we both had these
I love you, honey.
We both had these really romantic courtships because he and I are both romantics. We wrote when we were writing on our own, we were writing romantic comedy mostly, and found spouses who are also into that world. So when we tell our story, you know, of how we fell in love, it sounds so perfect and whatever. But then, you know, you get married and life continues, and you have to pay bills and figure stuff out and
You're making it sound so romantic.
negotiate. No, it's,
You make
I
a-
mean,
you make-
It's true,
Yeah.
but that's the
it's
reality.
true. The
of
reality
it. Yeah.
is that, you know, you have moments of romance, of course, but it's not just a movie. Life is not a movie. So maybe you had that for a couple months when you were falling in love, but then after that, you have to deal with reality. So we thought this was sort of a heightened way to discuss what we were going through.
And I
Which
think,
is,
too, you know, I mean, falling in love the first time is easy compared to marriage, where you have to fall in love every single day with somebody that you're getting to know better and better and for worse. And so we just thought that that there was actually a more interesting love story in somebody that was able to wake up and fall in love with someone over and over again rather than just once when everything was easy.
Yeah, which is really this episode.
Yeah,
That's
true.
This episode kind
that.
of really put all of that into what you just said, which is great.
And it's funny because Stella was like, let's have this big romantic, we're going to Paris idea. And then the reality of life really sort of set
Paris
in.
was not really what she thought it was when she went back and heard Wes's side of the story.
Right.
And that always appealed to us when we had this notion of this story sort of around the time we were writing the pilot. It was one of the few episodes we kind of knew we wanted to do, and we toyed around with whether it would be earlier or later in the season. But just this notion that, you know, you have these memories of how you fell in love and what that means to you. But does that matter? You know, at the end of the day, if Wes is still there and he still loves her and is still committed, does it matter why he was in Paris? Does it matter that he loves somebody else first? Because, you know, with marriage, we talk about this a lot, but, you know, it's not about who you are in love with right now. It's who you're going to end up with forever. And so I think, you know, for Stella to overcome that idealized notion of romance and realize that everybody that came before her led him here. And if she wants to be with him now and loves him for who he is, then she has to accept who he was as well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All the stuff
That's so beautiful.
Right.
I'm just like,
So
I'm like, I need to take notes on all of this.
I actually do. Like, you guys have some really
I'm
profound
like, this
quotes.
is all really
Oh,
good
yeah.
dating advice.
Right. So did the CW come to you guys, or did you guys go to them?
We went to them. We actually pitched this show to like 5 or 6 different places, and
Okay.
2 places wanted it, CW being one of them. And we had worked with CW before, and we really liked, you know, collaborating with them. And so that was sort of an easy thing for us just to go with them.
As far as tone, was it difficult to sort of navigate doing this dramedy? Because how much of it's drama, how much of it's comedy?
Yes.
Yes.
It was really
Every day.
tough.
It's still tough. You
It's-
watch the episode now and you second guess, like, should this have been more serious? Should this have been funnier?
Yeah, episode 5 is much more serious than some of the other episodes have been. It's fabulous. It's one of our favorites.
But the trailer is just like
The trailer
Wes
is like
crying.
so dark and crying.
And then he just
we're
turns
like-
into dust and decomposes because he's been crying so hard.
But I do think the show took a minute to figure out. It took a minute to figure out what the tone was. I mean, we wrote the pilot. The pilot was much more comedic, and then we hired a director who was a much more dramatic director. So when he shot it, we looked at the foot. I mean, we were there, so we knew that we had comedic takes of a lot of the things. But when he did his edit, it was a drama. Like, I think he more was attracted to the darker side of it, and we were like, oh, but there was comedy, and we should do that too. And then Bill Lawrence, who is our pod, our production company, I should say, he came in to edit and turned it back into a comedy, but left a lot of what Lee had directed, the drama, and then all of a sudden the tone, appeared.
It sort of shaped, yeah.
It kind of appeared as we were doing the pilot, and we were like, oh, this is what it is. And then we started writing towards that, but there was, I think it's funny because we have 5 episodes now. And everybody should stream them on the CW app. Binge watch. If you haven't started.
And then watch them again
binge.
in the background while you're doing laundry.
Yeah,
and then
just
turn
keep
them on for your
binging
dogs.
them because we need
While you're gone,
Keep
dogs
them on
love
loop.
this
we
show.
need streaming numbers. But keep binging the first 5. But I really think the show starts to hit its stride at last night's episode. Because it finds... everything in the first couple episodes are really about dealing with the aftermath of this news and this change of perspective. And then in episode 5, stuff starts happening to them now. You know, they were sort of dealing with what happened in the pilot for a couple episodes, and now is where the drama of the season kind of kicks in. And the tone, as we move forward, becomes a lot more solid. You know, sometimes shows just, as you're developing them with 50 people collaborating, it takes a second to, like, get it going.
I bet that would be difficult to have tons of people's input.
Oh my God,
And
yeah.
especially when you're dealing with literally a drama and a comedy. It's not like...
Yeah,
And
you're
I think-
figuring it out.
Well, if you look at like This Is Us, which is a little more serious, I think, than we are, and some of their subject matter gets a little darker. But they, it took them a while, I think, to figure out exactly what it was going to be, because you want it to be funny to undercut some of the like treacly, overly melodramatic moments, but you also don't want that comedy to invalidate those moments. And sort of figuring out what that balance is tricky. I mean, I know Lee, our pilot director, we loved because he sort of saw this deeper layer that we were hoping he could find, and he did. But Bill Lawrence was joking that after we shot the pilot, going into it, he would have said Lucy was going to cry one time. And if you'd asked Lee, he would have said, oh, yeah, no, like 1,000 times. She's going to cry like 1,000 times.
In every scene.
In slow motion, and I'm going to film it all, and that's just going to be the episode. And so we filmed her crying 1,000 times, and then we cut 990 of those out.
We landed at about, 10 times.
But I think that was part of why the show was tricky to find in the first few episodes is we really wrote the tone of the show in post. So to come into the writer's room and say, we're going to now write a script that matches a show that we didn't write that sort of script took a while, because when you're sitting around trying to brainstorm, you don't necessarily know, should we be thinking of funny things and building drama around it? Should we be thinking of really dramatic stuff and finding weird comedy within? And so that took us, I think, a few episodes to get a handle on.
But I think that the casting's amazing. I mean, Lucy is amazing. I literally watch her. She's so likable. She's believable. She's unbelievable.
And her narration throughout the show is really phenomenal. I think there's only a few shows that can do narration and it actually works. And for this one, it's definitely one of them.
Oh, thank you.
And then did you guys come up with that? Obviously, but when did that come in?
Voiceover?
Yeah.
I think Bill suggested we do voiceover, but that came, that
Bill
started
mentioned a little
in
show
the
he did
pilot.
called Scrubs, and he's like,
Scrubs.
he's like, voiceover worked pretty well on my hit show Scrubs that was a hit.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, that's cool. But it was a good way for us to have her. She's such an optimistic person. And so the character of Stella is so optimistic and so trying to hold everything together as it's falling apart. So it's fun to see her like being like, everything's great. And then in her head, she's like, no, or not really.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fun to get that.
It makes it more
perspective.
relatable.
Yeah.
And I think for us, we and the network and studio wanted an unabashedly optimistic character in Stella. And our hope was, and I think we do it well sometimes, other times not as well, but to try to use the voiceover to show underneath that she's not as naive as she seems on the surface, but that her naivete is just her way of trying to be positive for the people she cares about. But underneath it, she's not like a dullard or a rube who doesn't know how the world works fully.
Yeah. And it's funny because as we went on to in this series, Stella became a little more three-dimensional because she grows up over the course of season one.
This episode was very
really
like
grows up.
the pinnacle of, I think, like you said, now we come into the point where we're actually seeing what's going on with everyone and not just exploring the aftermath of
and it's happening to her. I think to your point is the first few episodes, it's the fallout of what's going on with the family. She wants to fix them, and now problems literally come to her door, and she can't just look at them through rose-colored glasses anymore and act like that she can deal with it another day.
So we actually, as time went on, started using voiceover like less and less, because as she became a more three-dimensional character and could say or think what she was really experiencing, we didn't need the contrast as much.
Right. They did that in Sex and the City too.
Yeah, you kind of like, it kind of goes, I mean, it doesn't go away. It's still in all the episodes, but it's only there in key moments moving forward, whereas in the pilot and the second episode, it was a lot more present. Yeah.
Well, this episode was so good, and thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm really appreciative for you guys being here. Before we move on to cover the show, I want to go ahead and let you guys know that you can have more fun and learn and grow in all areas of your life. We have a podcast for you guys. Conversations with Maria Menounos podcast edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when everything you do. Let Maria know that it was us, Life Sentence, who sent you there. Once again, it's Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
I'm signing up right now.
Yes, exactly. So he's signing up right now. You guys should sign up right now.
Rich is really good at social media.
We've heard. So if you guys want to tweet him, he will personally respond.
He will.
And it's not even a joke.
It's not even a joke. Yeah,
will.
we live tweet the show with the cast. The whole cast is really close, and it's really nice. Anybody who's in town, we have all been getting together and live tweeting the show. And Rich grilled last night.
Yeah, last night I made burgers.
Exciting.
Oh, nice.
And,
you didn't bring any to the studio.
No.
I know.
Sorry.
you know.
Day old burgers didn't feel like
I
the
know.
right
It didn't feel like
studio
the
warming
right way
gift.
to say
If you
Yeah.
put a piece of cheese on it and pop it in the microwave, it may just
That's
be.
That's true.
Hey, nice to meet you. This was fresh yesterday and for somebody else, but you probably would like it.
But yes, but Rich tends to tweet back to a lot of people. So
I like
if
to
you're
engage people.
interested in tweeting about the show, this is your guy.
Yeah. If you tweet to Lucy, I'll answer. If you tweet,
Lucy answers a lot.
she does
of
answer a
people,
lot.
which is
I
actually
did.
really
Somebody
cool.
today was mad at me because Lucy was rightfully so promoting that she was on Celebrity Medium last night.
Oh,
At the
yeah.
same time as our
That's
show.
so cool.
And I was like, hey, you should probably watch our show first and then this one. And a bunch of people, well, like two or three
People
people
were mad.
got really mad at me and were like, why is this guy shaming Lucy and trolling her feed? And like,
Oh no!
they were so mad at me. They were like, all he does is like hang outside of a grocery store with like a homeless person begging people to watch the show. And I was like, if it would
Meanwhile,
get people to watch the show,
so
I
I would
absolutely
do it.
would do
Yeah.
that. I will make a little sign.
But you guys have to know that Rich is just really sarcastic.
I am.
And so a lot of times he writes back, and if people take what he writes on Twitter literally, like
Yeah.
he's doing it with like a serious face, then
I don't have a serious
going,
face.
Then it's going to have a weird context. But if you knew that he was sort of just
Joking.
messing
Well,
around.
generally, if I engage somebody, I like to engage as many people as we can, just because our jobs in this show exist because people care about it. And so I think
Yeah.
when I was young and sort of wanting to be a writer and I liked Dawson's Creek so much that I made a fan website back in the day. Like I learned
You
Flash.
were a
That's
super
dedicated.
fan.
I was a super fan. I made an animation.
And now
of,
you're
like,
here.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I've been in the viewer's shoes, and when creators interacted with me, I
Yeah,
very
it's
much
very
appreciated
cool.
it. So I try to do it from a positive point of view always, even if people are negative about the show. I try to respond with positivity. I've also found, especially in a divided political environment, people like to just say stuff into Twitter like there's no one in there, like it's this
You're
empty
right.
void.
Yeah.
And you can just say your meanest thoughts or your most off the cut. Like, people write stuff down and share it with the world that they probably shouldn't say out loud in their own house when they're
wouldn't say
alone.
it.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so I just like to write, they shout into the void, and then I just write back like, hey, I'm in here, I hear you. So
You're validated.
And
You
then they're
matter.
like,
It's-
it was so funny. Somebody at one point wrote something that was like, like, I just can't get into the show or something. And Rich was like, oh, that sucks, man. Well, but good luck with whatever you're
Oh, I
watching
like
or
to tell-
something.
yeah.
And he wrote back, and the guy that wrote this very kind of like harsh thing was like, oh, cool. Like, thanks for writing to me. And Rich was like, sure, thanks for, hashtagging our show, because whatever. But it was like this funny thing where the guy was like, it was really mean. And then Rich just sort of was like, God, go with God. And
Yeah.
he was like, oh, I like you.
I mean, and there's so many positive people that are fun to interact with, but there was somebody who was just like, that didn't like the show and just was like, this show is awful. It's going to get canceled tomorrow.
Right.
And I wrote back, oh my God, you're totally right. I should probably sign up to drive Uber. Do you know how
saw
I do
that.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wrote back with the link to
With the
sign up
link
and
to
drive
Twitter,
Uber.
she's funny.
I know. I was
We
like,
should
we need to get her in the
hire
writers'
her. We
room.
should
I was
hire
gonna
her to
say,
write
I
on
like
our
her.
staff.
Also,
Maybe the show
also, if
writer
anybody needs a ride home after I am driving Uber, just in case, it's a great company. They're very nice to me.
Well, maybe we should bring
Possible.
her on the show and have her date Aiden, because Aiden told his mom that he was dating, or not dating, but in a way, he was with Lauren. How do we feel about that? So mom found out that Aiden was with Lauren, and mom spills the beans and tells the dad. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I
Aiden.
didn't.
I mean, what do you expect? He's
Did-
been with all the moms.
He's been with all he has
gets
been all with all the
around.
moms,
Yeah.
but
Now he's on the sorority girls and stuff. He's already had that.
Yeah.
And his
but
mom did not hold that secret for
she
very
didn't.
long.
No,
like
well,
45
so
seconds.
we
Yeah.
saw mom
At
being
all.
jealous right away. She calls Lauren a hooker, which Lauren does not look like a hooker. She looks like a 12th grade teacher, and she looks super nice, really smart, very well put together. And then mom's like, she's a hooker. So
although she was buying Adderall. So,
she was buying
But that doesn't make you a hooker.
But that doesn't make you a
Those are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
It might be the gateway. All right.
Yeah.
I missed that scene from Pretty Woman. Where was the Adderall scene in Pretty Woman?
I know.
I feel like that's the gateway to an insane mother. Like, your mom is taking Adderall because you're getting on her nerves.
Yeah. I mean, look, I feel like this is really interesting because it had to happen because now Aiden and the dad can't live together and be friends. Like this sort of now he has to put on his father hat.
Yeah, and that's actually for the next couple episodes, that's the balance that those two are. There was in episode 3. We had so much fun sort of
that was great.
Playing with Aiden and Peter becoming friends. Like, Aiden takes Peter out to try to, introduce him to women. And
Crazy Stupid loves him.
Yeah.
And also being the same person, because their costumes were, their costumes, but their wardrobe was the same. When they were drinking the beer, it was at the same time. Just a lot of the different.
They have a lot in common and also are very contentious, which I think is... similar to parents.
I think parents that are contentious with their kids tend
the
to have more in common with them.
You're like, I recognize in you all the stuff that I messed up in my life, and I want you not to make those mistakes because we are the same, and I can prevent it from happening for you. But you know that your kids have to go through it themselves. They're not just gonna listen to you because you were like, I was you. No kid's gonna be like, oh, really? Okay, well then I won't do anything that you don't want me to do. That's not
and
the
we
way it
also
works.
we saw another part in this episode where the dad talks to Stella because Stella met Pippa this episode.
She did.
She met Pippa.
I thought it was so disrespectful that she showed up to their door like that.
And not only that, but she was super polite, and then she even said they could be friends. I was like, oh, hell no.
I'm like, Stella, no friends.
But her accent is so adorable. You just catch yourself thinking maybe we should be friends.
No.
I didn't feel that maybe we should be friends. I was like, I would have kicked her out. I've been like, see you later. I don't. I was like, no, I was not feeling it.
Stella did great with that, whole, because she was like, oh, I think you guys should get on a good note. I don't know. I feel like he should be able to feel however he wants to feel. And Pippa, I cannot believe her. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, what'd you guys think of Pippa? I mean, just as a character.
I liked her.
I did too. Yeah, agreed.
yeah.
She's hard not to like.
Yeah.
Like, you get the attraction. You're like, oh, that's who he was married to. That's tough.
Yeah.
That was sort of our goal.
They're very different also.
Yeah, Stella and Pippa.
Well, I mean, I think that was something we talked about in the room a lot, and I think Erin and I are big proponents of this in everything we write, that it's easy to have a good guy and a bad guy, or a good girl and a bad girl, and to vilify someone is very easy, but we thought it would be so much more complicated if this woman turned up who Stella should hate, and she's perfectly lovely.
She's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a much larger dilemma. If you just hate her right away, then you just shut the door and say, get out of here. But if she's lovely and it's more complicated, then if you're a decent person, like we like to think Stella is, it makes it a harder situation to deal with and a harder thing to sort of come to grips with. And we even talked too, and as the season goes on, I think this seed of doubt will continue to grow in Stella's head. But is Stella the right woman for Wes? And now that she's seen who Wes was going to be with,
What do you mean?
That was the tea right there.
But I think that's because she's been in such a sheltered situation.
About,
if he loved her and me and we're so different, which one was the right choice for him?
Yeah.
And if I wasn't dying, would he have wanted to be with a girl like me when this is everything he wanted up until just before he met me?
Yeah,
exactly.
And the fact that he omitted that, that's sort of and in a relationship, how much do you share? I mean, you would think that is something to share, but then again, she was dying. So why would you then address that? And then it's like, when has been a good time so far to sort of bring something
to say I lied to you
to that?
About that.
Yeah, and that's that comes up in episode 2 when she finds out that Wes didn't tell her about Pippa in the first place. She was like, well, when were you going to tell me? And it's like, well, you were dying and then you were better, and it's like, when is a good time?
Yeah.
You know, you were better, and then so much time had gone by that was saying like, oh yeah, by the way, I was in love before, and lied to you about that because I was trying to make your last couple months really nice.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to get into it now, or is too much time? You know, when you tell a lie and too much time has passed, it's really weird to tell it then.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
Well, it seems
right.
like then you're telling the truth for a reason versus just
Right.
like, oh, I probably should have told you this before.
Yeah.
Do we see more Pippa, or is she gone? Is she gone?
She moved to San Francisco.
Pippa is in San Francisco.
I'm gonna go out on a
That's
limb.
my.
She
That
moved
doesn't-
close.
She
Yes.
did move close.
That
We're-
does not mean anything. A flight away.
That
I
that
know.
And
yeah.
Asheville,
It's not
Oregon
party
doesn't
country.
exist, so it could be very close to San Francisco.
Yeah.
We don't know. It could be on the
Yeah, it
border.
is not a real town.
No.
But yeah, she's close by, so stay tuned.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought this was
And-
interesting too. You said the first thing you fight about in a relationship is the thing you will always fight about. Like that is so. I was like, gosh, that's so true.
It is
And then
true.
this is gonna be the thing
That they're going to
like,
Yeah,
fight
it's
about
sort of like we
forever.
weren't completely honest at the beginning.
And can you really sustain a marriage, actual forever versus 8 month forever?
Yeah.
When it's built on lies, even well-intentioned lies, you can't really commit to someone you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the struggle that they're going to be facing the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which should take us to some predictions, no? I think like we're starting some sort of predictions here. So
AfterBuzz TV.
I'm going to take this opportunity to have a sip of water.
Yes,
As a
Okay, so some quick predictions. Stella and the Doctor.
Well, yeah, we already kind of saw that stuff happens.
No.
Well, no,
so
no,
happened
she in her dreams.
I mean,
her
all
Stella,
right, I
does it
understand
does it
that,
happen in
but-
real life? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think there may be a kiss.
Does it happen in
Oh,
real
we
life?
can't
Yes
tell
or
you
no?
Right.
I tried to be super
I
slick.
couldn't believe that they told you guys that much in the trailer. I was like, oh, that's...
Yeah.
They did make
Um,
it clear in the trailer
That it was
That
a
it was a
dream.
dream.
That
They
Yeah.
one
They
Yes.
did.
They did.
They did.
But I feel like I'm reading between the lines
Yeah.
that you just said. And I feel like they may kiss. But
They
I
do.
think that is
In my
going to
opinion.
be
Yeah.
as far as it goes.
Yeah. Okay. How about Pippa? Does Pippa come back, or does she?
Yes.
Is she gone forever?
No.
I think Pippa's going to slide back in.
I think so too. Does Pippa come back?
Slide in the DM.
I think there's some, you know,
Here's what I would say,
interesting predictions going on.
Yeah.
I don't like to
and
spoil stuff, but the internet does exist. So there are...
Agreed.
There are clips.
You can... IMDb exists, so you can see
Okay.
if people return.
Oh, that's
Oh
true.
yes, we can.
Yes.
We
Yes.
will
But you know
go.
Totally
what?
does.
The IMDb has been wrong.
Yes,
we
expect-
because now it's a paid service from
Yes,
Amazon,
they
so you
did.
can lie on it.
For a minute,
so
I
crazy.
think they
Yeah.
said
The dad was
the
on
dad
Peter,
was on
yeah.
2 episodes.
Yeah.
He's in
Mhm.
every
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So they messed up.
Yes.
And you guys also
IMDb.
said in an interview that there's a big event in episode 6 that kicks
Which is-
off the second part of the
Yes.
season.
Yes.
It's dealing with a big family issue.
Family crisis.
So, Christ, could you guys elaborate?
I think we can loosely, because it was not covered in the trailer at all.
Okay, yeah.
And
okay.
I think it just...
Right.
I think...
Don't tell too much because it wasn't covered in the trailer. Probably because they didn't want it to be too much covered in the trailer.
I don't know.
We can say this. It's something that it is an outgrowth of Peter finding out that Aiden sells Adderall.
Okay.
So there's something between them.
The situation escalates.
The situation escalates
Okay.
Ooh.
for Aiden
Well.
and Peter, and it ripples throughout the entire family.
Ooh.
Oh.
Say
Yes.
that.
Well, we are so excited to watch the next
I
episode,
know,
which
and you
brings
have
us
to
to
wait. You
I
have
know.
we have to
2
wait, which
weeks.
brings us
2
to our
weeks.
news of tonight. We
Yes.
have some news to cover.
TV News.
So Monique sent us a text today. Very sad text.
I know.
So life sentence is being so we won't have life sentence for the next 2 weeks, and they're going to be coming back with a new day and a new time. It's going to start airing on Fridays at 9 p.m.
So same time.
Same time, new night, but life sentence will still be here. There's still 5 more episodes
No.
for the season.
8, 9,
8 more.
10,
8 more episodes. So
Yeah.
there's 8 more
13,
episodes.
8 more episodes.
Yeah.
8 more
Yeah.
episodes. We have so much more
We've
to
just
cover.
gotten
So
started.
yeah.
Instead of using it to help you get through the middle of your week, now it's something you can watch to celebrate getting
I
through
love
the
that.
end of
Yes,
your week.
perfect.
That's amazing.
It's part
It's
of
perfect.
Friday.
Yeah. There you go. Is
Well,
it going to be a season
yeah.
2? Do we have
We
some?
don't know.
I hope
It
so.
depends on how many people start streaming this stuff.
Everyone stream.
Well,
Watch
if
it.
you
Everyone, make sure you
have
stream
download
right
the
now.
CW app, it's
Binge
free.
watch.
You can binge watch.
It
There's
is.
5 episodes out there already, and we have 8 more to come. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure having you guys, and thank you for sharing everything. That even though there wasn't a lot in my prediction, but we really appreciate you guys coming in.
All right. And Nadej says hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Nadej.
She's lovely.
Yes,
Oh,
she
I
was
love her.
on the second,
cutest.
third episode.
Oh, I was gonna. Was she in studio? Was she in
No,
LA?
she was on Skype.
Oh my gosh.
She's fantastic.
We're living in the future.
We love
Yeah,
you,
she is.
Nadej.
Hi, Nadesh. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Karla Beltran. You can follow me on Instagram at I am Karla Beltran, on Twitter at Karla Beltran with an R at the end, and don't forget to follow AfterBuzz TV on all social media networks at AfterBuzz TV.
And you can follow me on all social media at Suzanne Quast.
And I'm Monique Loveless, and you can follow me everywhere at Miss Mo Loveless, and that's MS, not MISS. MS Mo Loveless.
And where can they find you guys? On social media, Instagram,
yeah,
Twitter?
you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Erin Cardillo.
And I'm on both at Rich Keith, Keich.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much one more time for joining us, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yay!
Ciao!
Goodbye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.